Hello, GenRight Nation. I am Tony Pellegrino, and this is Tech Talk. Thanks for joining us. If you're not familiar with this, this is something we do live every Wednesday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And we are here to talk about all things Jeep. This is one of my favorite subjects, of course, and I'm happy to share my experience and knowledge with you guys to the best of my ability. So, anyways, I hope you guys are having a good time or a good day wherever you are. And if you're joining us live, that's awesome because I like to interact with everybody. And you just need to type it in as a comment, not a big deal, and then Jennings can read back off to me. And we'll try to get to all the questions. While you're there on YouTube, please subscribe and turn on your notifications. That way you won't miss one of these. It works really well. I know they pop up on my phone, and it'll make sure you don't miss one of these shows. If you have missed them for whatever reason, you can go back and watch them on our YouTube channel. You just have to hit the live tab there, and it'll show you all the different Tech Talk lives on there. And of course, we've got almost 700 videos over on the GenRight channel, so there's plenty of things to watch and in lots of detail, even more detail than what we cover here on the show. So today's Tech Talk is going to be on tire carriers, and I have some products to update all of you on that you may not be aware of. So we'll get to that in a second here. Jennings, who we got watching so far?
Let's see. We got Bobby Cleveland says, "Hey, GenRight Nation from Yukon, Oklahoma." Hello. Stephen Draper says, "Good evening from the allergy and pollen infested green dust bowl that is Georgia." Sean Flaherty says, "Hey, GenRight Nation from Simpsonville, Kentucky." Nice. Kathy McCavis says, "Howdy, GenRight Nation." JC Cologne says, "Hello, everyone." Shane Wolford says, "Evening, everyone." Trail Team 7 says, hey, GenRight crew." Mike Stewart from Arkansas. Mark Lawrence says, "Hello, GenRight crew."
Hey, Mark.
Shamrock Adventures, Patrick. Yeah. Hey, Tony Jennings and GenRight Nation. Mark Dudgeon says, "Hello from North Dakota." Michael Costin says, "Hello, GenRight Nation from Sweetwater, Texas tonight." Nice. Troy Merritt says, "Hello from Nebraska."
Hey, Troy.
Jerry
Wow.
DeRimple says, "Hello."
We've got them from all over the place. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And, of course, the ones that you didn't name off. I appreciate that.
Lots more.
We are going to start off with a flash special. We've never done this on Tech Talk before. And they are for a set of JL. This is only for the JL half doors. You are going to get this equals 30% off right now. This code is for a limited time, and it will include the armrests front and rear. Of course, they're not going to be painted and have mirrors and everything. You know, that's up to you. But for the GenRight half doors, a full set, you're going to get 25% off, but we're giving you 2 free sets of armrests, so effectively 30% off. The code is Tony Time. So go ahead and type that in, and it will only work on the JL half doors. So good luck. I hope you need some JL half doors, and that's the best price we've ever had those things at. So
Is your mic on?
kind of fun. Uh-oh, people aren't hearing me?
So the volume's low.
Low? It's
Look
low.
on the other part, not that part.
Oh, well,
Is it lit up?
I don't know.
Hold on.
Hang on. This was really tucked inside, so maybe. Oh no, it's not.
Cool. I
That's
try
not good.
to tell you to put it on like
Doggone it.
but he doesn't listen.
So does that mean they haven't been able to hear me this whole
No,
time?
they can hear you just lower. That should be better.
So this should be better. I think I messed this up, but
No, you're good.
it's okay. All right.
Mic check, mic check.
Mic check. Gosh. Okay, so let me repeat that part. It's a flash sale, 25% off. Type in Tony Time on JL half doors only, full set, and you're going to get a free set of armrests for front and rear, so equaling about 30% off. So this is our best deal we've ever offered on JL half doors. So hopefully you can take advantage of that.
That is a deal.
All right, yeah, it's a great deal.
Why JL only?
I have a surplus of those, so we're gonna let people take advantage of that. And those are great. I love them on my JL. And we just got the optional door bags back in stock, front and rear. I don't even have the rear ones on mine, but those things are great for storage. I absolutely love them.
Question from
Sure.
Tom Cantwell.
Sure.
Do you make a tire carrier for a 41-inch tire for a 2020 Dynamax RV? Oh, Tom.
That I don't. Somebody should. When we went to the Overland Expo that one time, hun, they had little winches that like pulled them up, and because those things are heavy. So maybe he can find something like that. Okay. So it occurred to me that people weren't up to date on some of the products that we've now got available. So the Stage 1 Elite for the Jeep JK is available. The not only the suspension, but the steering as well. The V2, the second version of the JK roll cage is now available for purchase on the website. They're being packaged right now and hopefully shipping like in the next week here. We've actually, Tommy, Sergeant Jeep, put one in his Jeep today, and he'll be out at Calico this weekend at the Prospectors Run. If anybody's going out to that, you'll be able to see it. And we're still working on Jennings, but hopefully we'll have that done tomorrow. So we're just cranking away over here. Next thing is the washer bottle that is smaller and reshaped, especially for the 392. It'll actually fit any of the JLs, but it makes room for our new inner fender that's all vented. You can see all these products on our website right now. So those are all available. And then don't forget about our DIY parts, the do-it-yourself stuff. You could save a ton of money by, a lot of them have to be welded on anyway, so you might as well just weld the whole thing together yourself and you can save a ton of money. All right, if you can't tell, I'm in a particularly good mood tonight. Not only are we putting JL half doors, which are one of my favorites, on sale, I just got my JE Reel drive shafts for Aftershock. I wanted a new set in there. I'm just finishing, if some of you have been following along, a bunch of maintenance that I've been doing on Aftershock, and JE Reel is one of the best drive shaft manufacturers. I have a lot of faith in them. They did all of our race car stuff, and they were always, very, very good quality and great guys to work with. The other thing I wanted to mention was I did finally find time to put my little Baxter Performance thing in, and Jennings and I filmed that. That's, if you're not familiar with that, it's the little thing that converts your oil filter from the cartridge style over to the canister style and maintains pressure inside the oil system so you don't dry start the little 3.6 V6. So I finally got that done. So I just put the oil back in and fired it up. We'll give you a report on that down the road as to how that's working out.
Mike Stewart says, I want the 99th cage if we can make that happen. That way I can put, I got 99 problems, but a cage ain't one.
Nice. Nice. Well, they're selling fast, and that won't last long. The other thing, speaking of cages, that I did want to remind everybody of, because for a long time we said no on the JL, switching gears, we were talking about JK, now we're talking about JL. We do have the cage available for the one-touch top. That's now available, so you can call in and order those. We're producing the kits right now, and those will be available real soon. We've got the first one in that white 392 that I'm test driving right now. So we shot a video on that, and we showed the operation and everything. Just works fantastic. So
TOFTS Chandler just said, thanks for the sale. Just ordered my half doors.
Nice, nice. Awesome to hear. For those of you with some money left in your pocket, don't forget Mickey Thompson is still running their spring sale. It's a rebate. It's an online rebate. You go buy the tires at a brick and mortar retailer, and if you buy 5, you get $125 back. If you buy 4, you get $100 back. And that's good on the Baja Boss AT, MT, Legend EXP, and Legend MTZ. So all the light truck and off-road tires. So that's a good deal going on all the way through April 30th. So, okay, let's talk tire carriers. Let's have you back up a little bit.
Oh, I just hit a button.
Uh-oh. Are we okay?
Yeah.
It didn't cut it off?
It might have gone black for a second.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to, well, yeah, let's show the one on back of the Jeep right now, and then we'll come back over here in a second. Okay, so as all of you know, we offer a tubular style tire carrier. We used to make them in steel and aluminum. Now we just do them in aluminum. If you're not familiar with our aluminum products, this is a thick wall. It's 3/16 thick material tubing, and it is very, very durable. This will carry up to a 42-inch 1350 tire, or we've even had people put in 43-inch TSLs and some other stuff. Right now, I'm not running the spare tire. As you can see, I'm actually running one of our cargo racks. But these things are incredibly versatile. So I'm going to go through all the different features. We do pre-run a chase wire through here so that you can run your third brake light and license plate light over. And I made mine so it unplugs, but you can hardwire it in or whatever you want to do. Because occasionally I pull this off. It's very quick. It's only 2 bolts to take it off. And so if you don't want it on, you can leave it on the trailer or leave it at home or whatever suits your needs. So it's very light. It's only 21 pounds. I've got one off over here that I was going to show you guys. It is body mounted. So we remanufacture the hinges, and this applies to JK and JL on a TJ, YJ, CJ. They get new mounts that go on the side. Of course, I recommend running our corner guards because it beefs up the material there. And then on this side, you get the latch pins, which are a quick release, which is really nice. But the nice part about this is this thing will not rattle and it will not open by itself. If you already have a tire carrier and you've ever off-roaded pretty heavy duty, these things commonly open by themselves when you flex it all out. It's because those are mounted to the bumper and this one's mounted to the body, which also means you can run any bumper you want. So even if you don't have a GenRight bumper, you could still run our tire carrier. Of course, I would prefer if you had our bumper, but so we talked about it's easy to remove. We talked about the tire size, the 4-point mounting, the adjustable cam. Okay, so here, let me grab this off the bench over here. This upper bolt right here is adjustable, and you can see that when you rotate it around, it's going to move the tire carrier back and forth. That's really important because once you put the weight of the tire in here, it's going to drop. You know how most always you got to lift up your tire carrier? Well, you don't have to do that on this. You just adjust this properly, and this thing will close perfect every time. There's no lifting or doing anything funky. And the other thing that we do on here is what's called a stop lock. So when you open this up, this will drop and lock it into position. So if you're on a side hill or you're somewhere that's not flat, you don't want this thing trying to close on you, you can just let this lock into position and then easily lift it up to unlock it. Or in this case, I have it set so that it will stay in the open position so I can just open and close it on level ground easy enough.
Trail Team 7 has a question.
Sure.
2017 JKU with your front end package, tie rod, drag link, track bar, and reed knuckles. About where are you setting the caster? 37-inch Mickey Thompson's with 4.5-inch lift.
So you're not going to have much of a choice on where the caster goes because the factory sets it at 6 degrees. So as you lift it, which you've got a pretty big lift in there, the arms go down, and that's going to rotate the axle. So you're going to be lucky if you can get 3 or 4 degrees, because if you adjust it back, what's going to happen is the pinion is going to start pointing at the ground, and then that's going to put your drive shaft at a really funky angle. So just try and find a blend between the drive shaft not operating too kinked. Ideally, you want it straight. That's why we always go with a high pinion. But to get enough caster to where the thing's not wandering around on the road. So just see what you can do. Stock is 6. Okay.
Tone Period says, I love my TJ aluminum GenRight carrier. I get compliments all the time.
Oh, good. Good.
Michael Costin asks, why do you have the Facebook page set up where we can't post pictures? And how long out is the JL cage from ordering? Love my tire carrier.
So the JL cage is available. Those are available. If he's talking about the one-touch top, you can also order those right now, and they're shipping in a couple weeks. So, yeah. But the JL cages are in stock. In fact, I just delivered one to Casey Curry. He's put one in his JL. So.
BB Tom says, love my swing out tire carrier on my LJ. Daniel Partita says, question, what's the difference on welding of the coilover lower tabs on the top of the axle C's versus on the axle tube?
Well, it depends on whether you need to get the shocks further out. Obviously having them as far out as you can is good, but you want the shocks not to be straight up and down. They need to be leaned a little bit. So if you have to do that to get the bottom out, just keep in mind that raises the bottom mount, so that means the upper mounts need to be taller. So this is where you guys need to be tacking this stuff in place and checking it as you go.
Richard Peterson says, I still like the old swing down version for TJL.
So do I. Like if I have my way, every single Jeep would have that swing down. And here's the reason why. Because you don't have to lift up the tire. So right now, to get a tire inside this carrier is a 2-person deal, right? Because a 40 is very heavy. And on the old one, you just roll it over, you dump it on there, you spin the nut on, and then you just tilt it up. So you're only lifting half the weight of the tire. And that was really my preference, the old swing down. So I was going to say there's got to be a picture of it around here somewhere, but yeah, but this is what everybody wants right now.
Asked any suggestions on if the pins don't line up all the way on the driver's side?
Yes. Okay. So you got a couple of, come on over here. Just right to here, yeah. Okay. So first off, your pin should have a very thick rubber O-ring on it, and what that's going to do is it's going to keep the thing when it bounces up and down, it doesn't rattle. Okay, so now mine, I've got them tight right now, and what I do is you always take out the top one first. Okay, so if for some reason that's tighter than you want, number one, I suggest putting on a little bit of synthetic lube, that's not black. I have some stuff that's clear. That helps. Next, you can actually just take a 1/2-inch drill bit on your drill and just run it up and down. And what it'll do is it'll take the high spots off the urethane, and then the pins will drop in really easy. So it just depends on what you've got. But like in this case, I don't have anything in here, right? So the carrier is just kind of sitting there, but the pins will come in and out, pretty easy. So, and that's about how I like it, so that they're not too hard, not too easy. But if you just chase it with a drill, that'll fix it right up. And if you didn't get the leash with yours, you can call in and get the leash. These are really handy so that you don't set them on the tire or drive off without them. That's a nice little feature to have the leash on there.
Trail Team 7 asks, can we get a good look at your tank on the carrier?
Yeah, we can do that too. The other thing I was going to mention while we are talking about the pins is if you're somebody who needs a little bit more security for your tire carrier in terms of you don't want people opening it up and stealing your tire or even getting into the back of your Jeep, you can change this to a lockable hitch pin. If you find most hitch pins are 5/8, but if you find a 1/2 inch one, you can lock that. The other thing you can do is, I did it a long time ago, is you just press this pin out, which will knock this little thing out of there, and you can put a luggage lock through there. So, you know, whether you just want to use this and everybody's got a luggage lock laying around, and then you just put the luggage lock on the bottom and nobody can get the pin out and they're not opening this thing up. So a couple handy little things there. Okay.
Julio Jackson says, what about the JL cage for the 2-door? Any options? I feel like the 2-doors don't receive any love in the Jeep world.
So we've been asked about this before, and the answer is, are you ready to order? If you're ready to call in and give one of my guys your credit card, then I'll work on it. It's not that hard. We already have a 2-door here, and it's just, I've got 100 priorities. So give me a reason to move that to the top of the list.
Okay, we're all caught up right now.
All right, good. Okay, so let's talk about this. And this is also something that will affect how your tire carrier closes. They'll have these little rubber, they're actually urethane stops, right? So when the carrier comes in, this little bushing, which is welded to the end to hit this right here, it hits that, and when it does, this should line up perfect to drop the pin in. Okay, so you want to make sure that the bushing is hitting the stop. By the way, there's 2 different thicknesses. Let me grab the other one. And a lot of the time, people get them wrong. They put the bottom one on the top and the top one on the bottom. See the difference? It's quite a difference.
Hold on, let me zoom in. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you got to get those right so that the carrier closes properly. And that's really important, okay? And if you need to, like in this case, just to show you guys, I put a little fender washer behind there. You can shim it a little bit and get it so it's just perfect, because you should just be able to close this and put the pins in, okay? Let's see, next thing is this. So focus on this one down here. So the Acme threaded rod assembly can be mounted on the top or on the bottom, okay? And what that does is it gives you a 3-inch difference in the height of your tire. So if you're looking for more visibility out the rearview mirror, then you put it on the bottom, right? If you want more ground clearance, then you put it on the top, and then your tire will be farther away from the ground. So if you drop off something, it won't be very likely to hit. And this is super handy, and as you can see in mine, because I'm using it as a carrier for cargo, I just removed it, and then that opens up more room. I'm just not having to work around this thing with my cargo. So these little cargo racks are great for carrying firewood, the little portable potty, a generator, gas cans. We lay our tent across the top of here because we've got one of those Gazelle tents, and they're pretty long. So, you know, you can pile this up. The other thing I've done, if it's inclement weather, is you take a rooftop bag and you just stand it up in here, and you can fill it with all your stuff and zip it up, and you got yourself a nice waterproof carrier that's also not disrupting your aerodynamics, because the Jeeps aren't very good anyways. So, yeah, so a couple good ideas. We do sell a bag that goes inside here that will carry your toe strap, some gloves. You know, it's a good size to fit stuff inside there. So that's, we have them in stock. I don't know why I'm not running one. I should be.
Couple questions.
Sure.
Alan Knight says, working on running the harness on the JK Elite kit. Do I need to cut, splice, and lengthen some wires like the wheel sensor and fuel wiring? What do you suggest to run the rear harness wiring?
Yeah, you do. Our guys just do it right in the shop. You know, they'll peel back the insulation on there. They'll find the wires that need to be lengthened, lengthen them, and then rewrap it. It's a little bit labor intensive, but just only do the ones that you need to, for sure. Okay, good question.
Kasha says my pins rattle like crazy.
Yeah, does she not have the little O-ring? If she doesn't, we can send her some. Okay.
I don't know. Mark Lawrence says, great job on your roundtable with the GenRight crew, sharing what spare parts everyone carries.
There you go. Yeah, I was going to ask everybody if they saw that. That's one of our latest videos we released this week that everybody should watch for sure.
Matt McDonough asks, can you give some tips on locating the driver's side carrier receiver bracket?
Driver's side. These? The latch pin brackets?
Yeah.
So, couple things. And we have a whole video on the tire carrier that's, I think it's almost an hour long. So we've got one for a full installation, and we've got 2 of them with tips and tricks on how to adjust them. And that's kind of what I've been telling you guys. Now, on the JL and TJ, YJ, CJ, these brackets are independent. So what that means is that once you've got them on here, you can actually tilt these a little bit before you tighten them down and really make sure the pins go in nicely, okay? So before you do the drill trick, you want to make sure that everything else is sitting pretty nice. I recommend that you actually, once you mount that side, you put the tire in here and get this thing to sit nice, and then you put these brackets on lined up and mark your holes. And you will have the best fit that way. Typically what happens is people mount this whole thing, they put the tire in, and they run out of adjustment on that little cam bolt that I was showing you. So you really want to be careful that that doesn't happen to you if that's what they were referring to. And then the other thing that everybody struggles with is that stop. So you want to make sure you've got the proper stop in there.
Who's Jeep her? Is that Ginger?
Who's what?
Jeep her.
I think that is Ginger,
So
yeah.
guess who?
Yeah.
Let's see. She says, Chikaza says, he and I do not have an O-ring. Must have missed that on the install.
Yeah. You can pick some up at a local hardware store or call us and we can mail you some. But they're a nice thick one, and they keep it from hitting the back. You know, it'll keep it from scratching the paint or whatever. I don't know what you have, but.
Anthony Chevalier asks, am I able to use the Mickey Thompson rebate gift card to make a purchase on the website and use my regular card for the difference? I have one laying around from my tire order.
Okay, so the gift card, if it says Mickey Thompson on it, it's from Mickey Thompson, so you got to call them. Call Mickey Thompson directly in Ohio to order it. Okay, if it's something from GenRight, then that's different. We can help you with that. And yeah, you can pay the difference for sure.
Let's see. What JV1968 asked, what would you say the life cycle is on a 2.0 King coilover until it needs to be rebuilt moderate trail riding?
You know, that would be, I would say if you notice the performance has really deteriorated, you know, if it's getting bouncy or something, if it's leaking, those 2 things, then I would send it in for sure. But otherwise, it should run for years with that kind of use.
And VV Tom says that a chase light fits nicely above the license plate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Heck
well,
yeah.
Caught up.
Yeah, because there's so many companies that make mounts for tubes, you can put on, you know, whip antennas or, you know, radio antennas or lights or whatever. I know I've seen guys that put, you know, little lights inside here or light bars, all kinds of stuff. And by the way, you know, this is something that we make, the license plate frame with the camera mount. So that's a nice feature, you know, where you take the camera off the back and you run it out here. And like I said, we've got holes inside the tube where you can run all your wires and everything. That's really handy. And then of course this third brake light and license plate light. But the tabs for the license plate are already on the tire carrier. That's the way we send it to you. So it's ready to move your license plate back there. All right.
Okay.
Let's see, what else were we talking about? Let me grab my list so I don't forget anything. We offer replacement parts. So whether it's the pins or the bushings or whatever, we offer all the replacement parts for these things if they, wear out or get lost or whatever. Let's see. We talked about the cargo rack. We talked about the lockable pin.
Mark Lawrence asked, I didn't paint my steel brackets for the carrier. Should they be painted?
You don't have to. All of them are, if they're silver like this, they are plated. So this shouldn't rust. So if it does, of course you can paint it. It's totally up to you. A lot of people, like we've even oversized these holes for the pin because people are powder coating this stuff and the hole was getting too tight. So we've oversized some of this a little bit. And if you notice on the inside of your brackets, every one is beveled. That way, as you close the tire carrier, the bushing will kind of self-center into, can you see that, how it's beveled like that? Yeah. So.
Michael Costin says, the camera wire, what's your trick there?
Okay, so the camera wire, I bought, I think it's a 3-foot extension. And what I did was I ran it so that it is on the inside here. So basically, when I put my tire in, the tire holds it and then it plugs in right here. So yeah, that's what I ended up doing.
Bobby Cleveland says, Tony, can you make a comment on unstrung weight? Always like your description.
Sure. Okay, so when you look at the axles, right, anything associated with the axle, so the tires and wheels, the brakes, all that stuff is unsprung weight. Sprung weight is everything above the axle. So when you think about what your springs are holding up, that's all sprung weight on the vehicle. And it's important because every pound of unsprung weight equals 10 pounds of sprung weight. So now, look, you don't have a whole lot of choice about it, right? I mean, if you put a Dana 60 under there or you got a Dana 44, I mean, they weigh what they weigh. It's not like you're going to, start making those things out of aluminum or something. Because you need the strength. And by the way, having the axles, thick and heavy is good because the weight's down low. So where you don't want to get crazy is, if you can get an aluminum wheel, that's better. It's lighter than the steel wheel. Tires, different tire manufacturers, some are lighter than others. Just be conscientious of it, especially if you're driving on the road. That'll make a big difference. And by the way, I just had a conversation with somebody that we were talking about. Can you see me over here? Yeah. We were talking about how you torque these beadlock rings. And we've done videos on this before. But if you take your time and do a really good job, if you do the crisscross pattern and really get that pulled down evenly, we never have to balance our tires. They're perfect. Whether it's a 42, a 40, a 37, that if that's done properly, the tire will run nice and round. So definitely something you want to think about and do properly. And we've got videos on that too.
Okay, Robert Lavoie asked, you also sell the entire swing out carrier by itself? 2005 LJ. My existing carrier is slightly bent, making it difficult to align the lower pin.
Oh, so he needs just what we call the carrier cage. Is that, if that's the question, then I would say yes, we can, but he's going to need to call in and talk to one of my guys, and they can remove all the hardware. By the way, the hardware is, a lot of the cost. So yeah, that would be a good solution for you.
Okay, JV1968 asked, back to the King 2.0 coilover question.
Sure.
I just recently noticed the front passenger is sagging a half-inch different from the other side.
Yeah, that could just be a spring. Look at your springs and the secondary nuts on there. Make sure all that's even. A half inch could be that it lost nitrogen pressure. That's nitrogen can be anywhere from a half inch to an inch for when you put proper pressure in, that it'll change. So I don't think I have that gauge in here anymore from the last show when we showed how to adjust your nitrogen pressure. But if you have like the King shocks gauge, you can thread it on without losing any more pressure and check it and see if there's pressure in there. If not, you just have to charge the shock to 150 psi at full extension, and then you'll know that it has pressure. So, yeah.
Carabiner asks, is the tire supposed to touch the back door against rubber stops, or does the tire sit away from the door?
The tire sits away from the door. Yeah, you want some clearance there so that it's not rubbing up against, the back of the Jeep. So, when this closes, we've purposely made these so that it sits off, and you've actually got quite a bit of clearance. So, when I've got a tire in there, there's a good, inch or so away from the door.
Michael Costin said, okay, I zip tied to the lower tube and heat shrink on the connector.
There you go. Yeah, perfect.
Daniel,
yeah, because the plug for the camera is so big, you can't run it through the tube, so you just got to do it on the outside.
He says, 2017 Jeep JKU with 2.0 coilovers with 200 over 200 springs. If it's bottoming out easy, would bringing down the dual rate nuts to almost contact the dual rate sleeve help?
Yes, that'll help a lot.
Showing on coilovers.
Yeah, because believe it or not, with 200 springs, I can't remember the formula, but it's something like you take the two springs and you divide it. So when the two springs are running together, it's like a 100 or 150 pound spring rate. But when it hits that secondary, then it's a 200. You're just riding on the bottom one. So it is quite a bit stiffer. So you definitely want to move those secondaries down. And if that still bottoms too easy, then you need to go to a 250 on the bottom spring.
Okay, Adrian says, hi Tony, are the aluminum tire carriers stress released and reheat treated once the fabrication of the tire carrier is completed?
Yes, in fact, that's a great question. So, couple of different things. One is, I used to be in the bicycle business, and when they welded aluminum frames, they bought the material in a certain temper so that when it was welded, it actually heat treated it through the welding process. So we do the same thing here. We buy this, most of the time you hear of aluminum in T6. We buy it in a lower, heat-treated state, and then as we put the heat to it, it heat treats it in the process. And these go through several stages when they're being built, and the very last thing we do is put on what we call the barrels, where it attaches to the Jeep. So we've done all the heating of the thing, and then that's our last step to make sure it'll fit your Jeep perfect. Okay? And all this stuff's built in the fixture. Anything from GenRight is built in the fixture. That's how we know. And everybody praises us, how well things fit. Well, that's why.
Joe Alice says, LJ Stretch Legend Kit. What is the Tracer rear stretch? I want to run the Tracer corner guards. Body is the frame at this time.
Yeah, so the whole wheelbase is 115. So you'd have to call in and maybe talk to Andrew or Jeff to find out what just the rear stretch is. I want to say it's like 9 inches, it would be my guess. So, because it moves the tire all the way to the back, the back, the edge of the very high point of the tire to the back of the body. So.
JV1968 says, thanks, Tony. The secondary rings and the preload on both sides are set the same on the 2.0 King coilovers. I'll have a shop check the nitrogen.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Unless a spring just sagged. There's a small chance that that's happened. But, yeah, chances are it's just the nitrogen.
And Andrew Warren asked, when ordering new dual rate coilovers, can I exchange the springs to fine-tune ride height?
You can. Okay, so the deal with that is, and my sales guys will help you, as long as the Jeep hasn't left the shop, okay? That is, those springs need to say brand new, and when they get back to us, they need to look new, right? Because, some other customer is going to want new springs on their $1,000 shocks, right? So, you just got to keep that in mind. But we are happy to help. Now, we do ask you a series of questions before we ship you the shocks. Like, you know, how much weight are you carrying? Are you hard doors, hard top, spare tire, tools? All those things make a difference, and then we can help you get that right. What you need to remember is every 50 pounds at ride height, okay? And the other mistake people make is they don't have everything in the vehicle when they're trying to set ride height. You gotta have gasoline, you know, everything that you're gonna carry before you start messing with that. But when all that's consistent, every 50 pounds, it doesn't matter whether it's the top spring or the bottom spring, will equal 1 inch of either ride height or moves the preload nut up, okay? So if you have too much preload, then you can add, which by the way is supposed to be no more than 3 inches. We've got whole videos that talk about this. Then you want to move that up. Even if you're at the 3-inch mark, right? I would add 50 pounds and then you'll have 2 inches of preload. And typically I like to change the bottom spring first. That top spring is your ride spring, right? That's the one that's soaking up the little washboard bumps and, you know, just as you're driving around on the street, that's your ride spring. So if you're happy with the ride, don't change that top spring. Everything is going to happen on the bottom spring.
Anthony wants to know if there's any updates on the budget TJ build.
I have gotten sidetracked on pretty much everything. Jennings Jeep, like we got a bunch of stuff going on, but it is next on my list of what I want to work on. So that's going to be in here for a while. Once that comes in, that's going to be here a while. So.
Okay, we're caught up for now.
Wow. Okay. So somebody asked about the little tank underneath here. So this is the prototype. It holds 7 gallons. And I decided that in the process of using it, I'm going to put a small transfer pump on it. And that'll help move the gas quicker than just gravity feed. And it is very convenient. By the way, this could easily be a water tank. So if you don't need to carry more gas, like I've got with the EXS, I have a 30-gallon tank. So this gives me an extra 7. This could be water, and you know, then you could have water at your camp if you're doing a lot of overlanding and stuff. It is very nice and convenient. It's protected. You're not having to, you know, like a rotopack where you got to take it off and it's spilling everywhere. So those are, you know, some of the things. It's easy, and you never have to lift it, right? It's on this just swings out, right? So you're not worried about having to lift it. Like if I, right? So it just stays with the whole thing, and it makes it super easy. So, and typically, you know, Jennings and I have firewood, either a small generator or propane, our potty, our trash. You know, this thing, I'm telling you, it's everything we don't want inside the Jeep ends up back here. And by the way, just in case you're curious, if you were really in a pinch, you can stick a tire inside here and strap it onto this to temporarily, that, you know, I wouldn't travel with it that way. But, you know, in a pinch, like if I had to go get a buddy a tire, then I could do that. Now, I do want to tell you something about this design that we have. That threaded post, this thing. So part of the way this tire carrier works is that when this is put on and you push your tire on here, and then we have a big nut, you know, T-handle that squishes the tire in here, it takes the pressure off of this center post, because what this is doing is it's under compression, and all of the spots where the tire hits on the carrier is what's actually holding the tire's weight. So it's very important that this thing keeps the tire tight against here. Okay, we've had plenty of people that didn't do that, and what it does is it really stresses this thing, or it breaks something else. But yeah, you want that as tight as you can have it, and that'll really make it work. And I put it in the instructions. It must be that way. So
Carabiner asks, is the body strong enough to carry a 37-inch tire without the added corner body armor?
On what kind of Jeep? On a JK and a JL, these mounts go in with all kinds of reinforcements. On a TJ, YJ, CJ, you could do it, but man, I don't recommend it because once the body gets screwed up, then it's really hard to even put a corner guard on. So I always recommend corner guards for sure.
Nick's Adventures asked, any updates on the JL Stage 1 stuff?
That's what we're working on right now in engineering. So yeah, that's next to be released. So okay, so I did want to talk about the way this closes. So if you watch, I'm not lifting up or doing anything, right? You just close it, and that's that. And once it's closed, you just put the pins in, and you're good to go. So there was something else I wanted to say about that. This is our original cargo rack, and now we have the smaller aluminum one, which is up there on the wall, which you should be familiar with. Oh, we also have. I got one over here. Let me grab it.
Robert Lavoie asks, why no single action tire carrier? I love the practicality of this for around town, but typically remove the spare for the parks.
Yeah, okay. So let me tell you a little story. I, just like everybody else, originally had a bumper with a single action tire carrier mount on it. After a few years of out wheeling, and I wheel more than the average guy, right? So things probably happen to me faster. It got loose and noisy. So I figured out a way to tighten it better on this side. I welded on there. I did other stuff. I tightened the bearing on the other side. Well, eventually, I'm ripping along out at the hammers, and I hear this horrendous noise, and I look in the rearview mirror, and it's my tire carrier and tire just, leaving in the distance. Now, I'm quite pissed off because now I've got this sharp piece of metal that I need to somehow load back in my Jeep, which by the way, I did not want inside my Jeep because that sharp piece of metal touches, the seat touches anything, and it's just chowder and everything, so I could get it back. And if you think a tire's heavy enough, now think about the metal carrier bolted to it. Now you got to try and get this whole piece of crap in your Jeep. Yeah, no way. This is where you guys get the benefit of my experience, right? Those don't work. I've never seen a single one that works. If you're going to carry a tire and you don't want it to rattle and you don't want it to open up itself and you don't want it to fall off, this is the one. I know, but I'm telling you, when you get this set up right and you're opening and closing it, it's only because mine is empty right now. Once it's got weight in it, the pins drop in, everything operates perfectly. It's not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal. One of the other things I was going to tell you that I forgot is this also protects the back of your Jeep. So if you're on the trail and somebody doesn't realize they're rolling or something, when they run into you, this is protecting the Jeep. On the other one, they're going to hit your tire, which immediately smashes the tailgate. So yeah, this is definitely a better setup for what you're doing out there.
Carabiner was asking about a JLU for the corner guards and the tire carrier, the 37.
Okay, so inside, so on a stock Jeep, you would take out the taillight, and we've got all these reinforcement brackets to go inside. So when this bolts on and that side bolts on, it is super heavy duty. So no, you don't have to worry about corner guards for that. I still always recommend corner guards, right? Because once you damage it, it's impossible to get corners on. But no, as far as the tire carrier goes, you'll be fine. Okay.
Daniel Partita says, I like the rear bumper on the Jeep. What bumper is that? It looks like a high tuck bumper and still retains the hitch receiver.
Yes. Okay. So this is probably the most expensive bumper on the market because it includes an entirely new frame. It's our EXS. So yeah, it's awesome because it is part of the frame, and it's look, I prefer our aluminum bumper. I'm very weight conscientious, and by the way, this tire carrier only weighs 21 pounds, so it is very light. But yeah, this is nice, but it is all part of the frame. Okay, so I did want to mention that if you want the benefits of having the little cargo rack, we make these mounts that holds our small cargo rack, and then you can put one right on the door. So that's an option too that I don't want people to forget about. I think those, when you buy the cargo rack, those are like 49 bucks. So, and they just go on with these bolts right here. You just tuck it right in and put it on. I'm a huge fan of these cargo racks. Jennings and I use the absolute heck out of them. So, yeah.
Do they offer that type of style bumper for JK?
No, but I can tell you this: our JK bumper actually sits closer to the body than this, even, and because it's right up against the frame. Our people have tried to make higher clearance bumpers than ours. That it doesn't exist. Ours are absolutely the highest clearance that without cutting the frame. So, which I'm not a fan of cutting the frame. So, I would just run what we got. And they're light. They're stinking light. So, and all our toe points go to the frame. So,
is the tire carrier quiet? Does it rattle?
Does not rattle. It's absolutely silent.
What's the biggest tire size for this carrier on a JK?
Well, it'll hold a 42 1350, like a Mickey Thompson. But I have seen a customer of ours put a 43-inch TSL in it. So.
Do you have corner guards on Aftershock?
I do. Yeah, they're just painted to match. Yeah, that's how clean they are. You can't even tell.
Chris Silvera asks, is the drop-down tire carrier for a TJ still available? I don't see it on the website.
I don't think you'd have to call in. I remember
says she thinks they clearanced them a while ago.
Well, I think so, but it seems like recently somebody came in and said, "Hey, we found parts to make a couple more of those. If anybody wants one." So it'd be worth calling in for sure.
Okay, all caught up.
Okay, good. We've done good. We got about 5 minutes left. So if you have more questions, fire them off. I'm going to look at my stuff over here and figure out if I've got anything else I wanted to talk about. If you're arriving late to the show, the JL half doors are on sale. The code is Tony Time. Just type that in when you're going through your cart.
Spaces?
What? Nope. And they're going to come with armrests. So you get armrests front and rear, all part of it. Effectively, that's 30% off, but the armrests are free, so I'm giving you a 25% coupon for the doors. And I know people are already ordering them, but that is a heck of a flash sale. So
what's for dinner?
I have no idea. Do you?
Chicken pot pie.
Chicken pot pie. Okay. Salad? Mm-hmm. Is that what you said? Wow. Okay. Not sure I've seen those combined.
And salad.
Oh, and salad. Okay.
Not combined.
That would be a little messy.
Matt McDonough says, my '08 JK has one spot of rust, the passenger side rear tub under the lower tailgate hinge. If I cut out the rust, will the corner armor still mount?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't want to leave a hole, right? You'd still want to patch that. But yeah, the corner armor would mount and cover, even a patch. Yeah.
He says, without any issues missing that chunk of material.
I would be apprehensive to leave a chunk of material out, but I would cut something else and patch it in there, and then put the corner guard on to hide it. There's no need to spend money on body work when you're just going to cover it with a corner guard. So.
Who else is thinking about a chicken pot pie salad
now.
right now? It's
Yeah.
weird to think about.
And on the JK corners, you can still get those with the round tail light or our new Matrix light. And so that's still an option on the JK. The JL is only the Matrix.
You're saying thank you for sharing. Great show.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, I wanted to talk about events. I'm sorry. I got all sidetracked. Okay, next wheeling events. If you're here in California, not this weekend, but next weekend, the 4th through the 6th of April, Desert Fest. Out at the Hammers. The whole thing's staged out of Lasertown, which is an awesome place to camp at. And I'll be doing trail runs, but it's a fundraiser for Oceano Dunes. So great, which is also known as Pismo. Great cause to, if you're looking to do something, come on out. The weather will be absolutely phenomenal in April. After that, on the 12th through the 19th, we are out at Sand Hollow for our own GenRight Easter Jeep Safari. So a lot of people are still signing up for that. That's you're still welcome to join us for that. If you haven't wheeled at Sand Hollow, that is some good wheeling, but a lot of people like it the best. So if you haven't done it, that's a good one. Then later in April, we're doing a single day run up at Big Bear. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up on our website. And then after that, we have High Desert Roundup. That's one of the funnest events the whole year. You can come for the day. You can come for the long weekend. It's over Memorial Day weekend. There's nearby motels if you're not a camper. If you're a camper, camping's free. Great trails of all different levels. And you can camp with us. Like the whole thing is like super fun. And we wheel twice a day. So we'll go out in the morning and then we'll come back for lunch and then go back out. So plenty of action there. And like I say, come for the day, come for the whole time, whatever. There's a restaurant there called /X. And you can get lunch and dinner there if you want. Some of the days even have breakfast burritos. So just depends on the day. After that, in June, we have our Central Cal Overland trip. You can find this on our website in the runs and events section. Then I'm doing Jeepers Jamboree. Jennings and I are doing that. Then after that is Trail Hero. So plenty of opportunities to get out there and wheel with us, even if you're coming from a long way away. Many of these are week-long or several-day things. So come on out and join us for as much as you can.
We got a couple last-minute questions.
Sure.
Daniel Partita says, on the top 5 tool video, someone was running 40s on Dana 44. Do they run bigger steering box, hydro assist?
That is fully built. Yes, that was Jordan, and that's a Curry 44, by the way. So that's a heavy-duty, thick wall, and he's running RCVs, and he's running ball joint deletes, and he's running reed knuckles. Yes, it's trust. Yes, it's full hydro. It's got everything. And we're not even sure how long it's going to make because basically the weak link there is the pinion. So if he's really tame with it, it'll live. But man, that thing's going to be pretty temperamental, I can tell you that. So.
Okay, and Matt McDonough asked which taillight is brighter, matrix or round?
No, the matrix is the brightest, and it has the best backup lights built in and a bigger side marker. So, yeah, these are definitely the brightest for sure.
David Cundy says the prospectors crawl this weekend in Calico.
Yep, that's right. So that's where I was saying that Tommy, Sergeant Jeep, will be out there with his full GenRight Elite Jeep, and he now has he's the first one to get his version 2 JK GenRight cage done. It's powder coated and it got installed today. So he's the first one to have that all finished up, and it'll be there in his Jeep. So if you want to get a close look at one, that'll be the one. It's got the aluminum roof. It's got everything. So.
And then Anthony asks, says, Big Bear sounds fun. What trails are you running? Gold Mountain to John Bull?
Well, that would be ideal, but it a little bit depends on who shows up and how capable they are. And if we have to, we could split into a couple groups depending on how many people come. But yeah, I mean, those trails are fun, and I'd fully expect that we'd be able to do that for sure. So.
Okay.
All right.
All caught up.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it. And you all have a good rest of the evening and a great coming weekend. See you next Wednesday.